Have you ever wondered why some leaders seem to shine brighter after their moment in the spotlight fades? Why is it that a one-term US president, Jimmy Carter, revered more for his post-presidency achievements, is now seen as a beacon of leadership excellence in ways few others have matched? Welcome back to the Mammoth in the Room, where we explore leadership lessons that stand the test of time. I'm Nicholas Bocconi, CEO of Mammoth Leadership Sciences. It's episode 30 today. It's unbelievable how time flies. Today, we're diving into the remarkable journey of Jimmy Carter, a leader who proved that leadership isn't confined to a title or a term. Carter's story is a treasure trove of lessons for leaders in any field. By the end of this episode, you have 3 actionable takeaways to apply to your leadership journey. A quick shout out already at the start though. First, authenticity. That's not optional. It's essential. Second, vision must be extended beyond your tenure. And third, empathy can be your most powerful tool. And stick with us, because Carter's legacy is filled with stories of triumph, resilience, and humanity that will challenge how you think about leadership. But before we dive in, make sure to subscribe and follow our podcast for deeper dives into the science of leadership. Give us some reviews on the YouTube channel or wherever you get your audio podcast from. All right, let's get started. And we start with authenticity over popularity. One of the questions people sometimes ask is this: why didn't a man as morally upright as Jimmy Carter win a second term? Jimmy Carter's presidency is often remembered for its challenges: inflation, energy crisis, and of course the Iran hostage situation. Yet his unwavering authenticity stood out. Unlike many politicians of his era, Carter wasn't interested in saying what people wanted to hear. He was focused on telling the truth. During his campaign, Carter famously said, "I will never lie to you," setting a tone of moral integrity. While this resonated deeply with many Americans wary of Watergate-era scandals, it also created a high bar for his leadership. He wasn't about theatrics, he was about substance. Now here's a story. One defining moment of Carter's honesty came in a 1976 Playboy interview, where he admitted to lusting in his heart. The admission, intended to showcase his belief in personal accountability and humility, shocked the public. It wasn't a polished answer, it was raw and real. While some criticized him for oversharing, others admired his willingness to show vulnerability, a rarity in politics. So what's the evolutionary psychological insight? From an evolutionary perspective, Carter's transparency aligns with traits that foster trust in leadership. Early human groups depended on leaders who were perceived as honest and selfless, as they were more likely to prioritize the group's survival. However, in a modern media landscape era, Carter's lack of charisma may have hindered his ability to connect emotionally with the public. Now, what's the takeaway? Look, authenticity is a double-edged sword. As a leader, being truthful is vital, but it must be paired with an understanding of how your audience perceives you. It's very clear that politics, wherever it occurs, be it in governments, in companies, in sports clubs, in churches, whatever, it's important to read the audience for the strategic reasons to achieve your goals. Good goals for the greater good, obviously. Now, Carter's honesty laid the groundwork for his enduring legacy, but it was his vision beyond the presidency that truly set him apart. So how do you build a legacy when the world sees you as a failure? When Carter left the White House in 1981, his presidency was widely viewed as lackluster. But Carter wasn't ready to fade into obscurity. Instead, he redefined what it meant to be a former president. And here's another story. In 1992, Carter and his wife Rosalind founded the Carter Center, an organization focused on promoting human rights, alleviating suffering worldwide. One of the center's most remarkable achievements has been its work to eradicate Guinea worm disease. At its peak in 1980, the disease afflicted millions across Africa and Asia. Today, thanks to the Carter Center's relentless effort, there are fewer than a handful of cases annually. Carter didn't stop there. He became a global advocate for fair elections, personally monitoring over 100 democratic elections in more than 30 countries. This work earned him the Nobel Peace Prize in 2002, cementing his legacy as a champion for peace and justice. So what's the evolutionary psychological insight? Well, Carter's post-presidency achievements embody the evolutionary principle of kin altruism. Leaders who invest in the greater good ensure the prosperity of their tribe over the long term. His sustained focus on humanitarian efforts demonstrates how visionary leadership transcends personal ambition to create lasting impact. What's the takeaway? Well, leadership isn't about the title you hold. It's about the impact you create. Ask yourself, what will your legacy be when your current role ends? And there is a difference between this guy wanted to build something versus this guy took the money and ran. Carter's vision was extraordinary, but it was his empathy that truly made him a leader for the ages. So here's a question. Can compassion redefine what it means to be a leader? Jimmy Carter's empathy was evident in everything he did, from his time in the Oval Office to his work with Habitat for Humanity. Carter didn't just preach compassion, he lived it. Here's another story. Even in his 90s, Carter could be found hammering nails, building homes for the underprivileged. He once said, "My faith demands that I do whatever I can, wherever I can, whenever I can, for as long as I can." This hands-on approach inspired countless others to join him, proving that leadership is about action, not words. His empathy also shaped his foreign policy. The Camp David Accords, a peace treaty between Israel and Egypt brokered under Carter's leadership, remains one of the most significant diplomatic achievements of the 20th century. The negotiation process was grueling. Carter spent 13 days mediating between two leaders with decades of enmity. His ability to listen, empathize, and find common ground was critical to the treaty's success. What's the evolutionary psychological insight? Well, empathy is deeply rooted in human evolution. Leaders who display compassion foster trust and cooperation within their groups, essential traits for collective survival. Hogan and Kaiser, 2005, and again we have of course a scientific source in the show notes, argue that emotional intelligence, Carter's hallmark trait, is a critical component of effective leadership. What's the takeaway? Empathy isn't a soft skill, it's a leadership superpower. As a leader, are you prioritizing the human connections that drive real progress? Carter's empathy and vision created a legacy few can match. But what lessons can we distill from his life? So here are some final takeaways. Number one, authenticity is essential. Carter's commitment to truth and transparency built trust, even when it wasn't politically expedient. As a leader, balance honesty with strategic foresight to inspire confidence. Most importantly, be yourself. Be authentic, be genuine. Number two, vision beyond titles. Carter's post-presidency achievements prove that leadership doesn't end with a title. Focus on creating a legacy that benefits others long after you're gone. And number three, empathy drives impact. From building homes to brokering peace, Carter's ability to connect with people made him a transformative leader. Cultivate emotional intelligence to foster loyalty and cooperation within your team. These aren't just ideals. They are actionable steps you can take today to elevate your leadership. All right, thank you for tuning into this week's show. If you found today's discussion helpful, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with your network and with any other leader who you think could benefit from it. And if today's episode hit home, I'd be happy to welcome you also next week. Until then, lead with empathy, cultivate motivation from within, and inspire with purpose. And lastly, if you're interested in more, you can order my book. It has the same title as the podcast, The Mammoth in the Room. It offers a practical roadmap how great leaders and their teams embrace evolutionary truths for outstanding business results. And it does that in 3 sections: on people, on strategy, and on implementation. Thank you very much. Nicholas Bocconi, The Mammoth in the Room.